Hi, my name is Chase Franklin. I'm the director of My Trinity Online at Trinity Bible College. I'm also on doctoral faculty in the graduate school. And I want to share with you a brief passage from Luke's Gospel today that really struck me when I read it. And I thought that maybe something that may be applicable to you today. In Luke chapter 9, we see in verses 51 through 56. I want to read this to you. It says, when the days were approaching for his ascension, talking of Jesus, he was determined to go to Jerusalem. And he sent messengers on ahead of him, and they went and entered a village of the Samaritans to make arrangements for him. But they did not receive him because he was traveling toward Jerusalem. When his disciples James and John saw this, they said, Lord, do you want us to command fire to come down from heaven and consume them? But he turned and rebuked them and said, You do not know what kind of spirit you are of. For the Son of Man did not come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. And they went on to another village. Here, Jesus knew that his time was coming short, that it was time for him to return to the Father. And so he was resolute. He set his mind determined that he would begin going towards Jerusalem. And it says along the way, that he sent messengers ahead of him and that they went into a village of Samaritans to kind of make room for him. Now, what's interesting here is that Jews typically didn't associate with Samaritans, and Samaritans didn't really associate with Jews. Now, here in this passage, it says the Samaritans did not receive him. Speaking of Jesus, so they did not receive his message. They did not want to receive his presence here. It says they didn't receive him because he was traveling towards Jerusalem. Now, when you look at this passage, you may think, well, what's the big deal? Why would they have rejected him just because he was going to Jerusalem? But this is where knowing some of the historical culture can help with us. Jews and Samaritans disagreed on where was the proper place of worship. Where Jews claimed that it was Jerusalem, Samaritans claimed it was another location outside of Jerusalem. And so here they thought, oh, well, Jesus is going on to Jerusalem. We don't want anything to do with him. We reject him. Now, when James and John heard of this, that the Samaritans had rejected Jesus, of course, they got fired up and they said, Lord, do we need to call fire down upon them and have them be burned up? In other words, this spirit, almost like a spirit of vengeance, was coming up in them. Thought, these people rejected Jesus. We need to get back at them. We need to do something about this. And how does Jesus respond? Jesus just says, You don't know what kind of spirit you're talking about. You don't know what kind of spirit you're talking in. He says that the Son of Man did not come to destroy lives, but to save them, and that they simply went on to the next location. Friends, when we're in ministry and we come up against obstacles, we come up against opposition, we even come up against rejection of the message that we bring, we don't call curses down on those who reject the message. We don't feel hatred for those who reject the message. We certainly don't ask God to punish them. We carry on. We move on with the message. We move forward and we move on to the next place. Because no matter what resistance may come against the gospel must continue to go forward. And so today, friends, be encouraged. If you're facing rejection of the message of Jesus Christ that you bring to others, know that Jesus simply asks you to keep going, that he's asking you to go to the next place and the next place and the next place until all of those have had a chance to hear the message of the good news. Be encouraged today, friends. Know that we are praying for you and know that the Lord Jesus Christ is for you and that he is encouraging you as you take his message to the nations.